What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So today, I wanted to talk about the Miami Heat, who are now down 3-0 in the series against the Milwaukee Bucks, which is something that nobody really saw coming. A lot of people had expected this series to go like 6 or 7 games, be one of the best series in the first round, and that has just not been the case so far. Milwaukee has been absolutely dominant through 3 games. So I wanted to talk about the Heat, whether or not there's any hope at all for them to potentially, maybe not necessarily win this series, but at least make it interesting, and what their future's looking like now that they're down 0-3. So obviously this is a very disappointing outcome for a team that was in the finals last year. We know how good they were last season in the bubble and how far they were able to go. And it's pretty much the same roster, right? They lost Jay Crowder and picked up Trevor Ariza, but other than that, it's pretty much the same team. I mean, Kelly Olynyk's not here anymore, I guess. But it's very similar to what they had last year. And, simply put, at least in this series, they just haven't been able to replicate what they had last year. Jimmy Butler has not played super well. I mean, Game 3 he was okay, but the first couple of games he hasn't shot well at all. Bam Adebayo has not been great offensively, hasn't been able to put the ball in the basket. You've had, guys like Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero who have not shot super well either. Their offense has just been absolutely pitiful. And so them not being able to do that is kind of, causing a lot of people to say that last year was a fluke, the bubble doesn't count, they were total frauds in the bubble, whatever. And, maybe there is obviously some aspects of the bubble that helped the Heat, and were able to, they were able to maximize it more than maybe they otherwise would have been able to. But I think it's disingenuous to say that last year was a total fluke and that, none of this matters anymore now that they're going to lose in the first round. It's sometimes just the way the cookie crumbles, and last year they were a very good team. I don't think, seeing them lose this way changes my opinion on how the Heat were last year. But it's certainly a little bit surprising to see the way that they're playing, especially against an opponent that they beat very convincingly last season, and now they just look completely lost on both sides of the ball. And so, with them down 3-0 and people assuming that this series is over, and I agree, the Bucks are going to win this series, right? I'm not sure that it's going to be a sweep still. I think the Heat have a little bit too much pride in them, and they're too tough of a team to go down in a sweep. But I mean, I thought they were going to win Game 3. I thought they were going to win Game 2 after, going down, losing the previous games, and they just haven't been able to. So we'll see how they come out in Game 4. It is still a possibility that they end up, getting a win there, but no team has ever come back from down 3-0, so I just don't feel like they have any shot at winning this series anymore, but maybe at least pushing it to 5 or 6. I would hope that this team will be able to get up for that. So I guess we'll have to see how they do the rest of the series. But a lot of people now that they're down 3-0 and it looks like they're done for, it seems like, people are questioning what the future of this team looks like, because just a year ago it's like, okay, wow, this team has been super competitive, they've been super good, successful, obviously making it all the way to the finals. I think they were a 5th seed last year, and it's like, okay, the future's super bright, they can maybe win a title in the next couple of years. You have young guys on this team, obviously Tyler Hero, and they just drafted Precious Achiuwa, who was a rookie this year, and you have a guy like Kendrick Nunn, who you found off of the G League. But none of those guys have really performed up to expectation this season. A couple of their, like I said, Jimmy and Bam have not played super well in this playoff series, and so you're kind of in the situation where, okay, Jimmy Butler's like 32 years old, I think. He's only got 2 more years left on his deal now, and you've got all these young guys, but maybe the ceiling is not quite as high for some of them as we initially expected. And so where are they going to end up? They're kind of stuck in between eras here, where do they want to push for a championship sometime within the next couple of years, and that might involve trading some of the younger guys away in order to please Jimmy Butler, or maybe it's going to be a rebuild sooner than we expect, right? If Jimmy Butler wants to go play somewhere else, if he feels like they can't win a title here, so maybe that's a Jimmy Butler trade, maybe not this offseason, but maybe a year down the line. We'll have to see how this goes for them. But it really does cast a little bit of a cloud over a once bright Heat future. It kind of, murks it up a little bit, and we'll see, how this team goes over the next couple of years. But they're certainly in a much worse situation than they were just, a couple of months ago in the bubble. And I guess the other thing to consider as well is the huge amount of cap space that they're going to have this offseason. They have these huge team options on Andre Iguodala and on Goran Dragic that they could be able to decline and potentially open up max slot in free agency this summer. So, this is not a great free agency class. As we know, the real meat is going to come the following offseason, but you have a couple of okay options here, guys like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, Mike Conley. Of course, Kawhi Leonard is the big fish out there, and with the Clippers now down 2-1 after they won tonight against the Mavericks, so they might be able to come back in that series, but especially if they lose in the first round, you might see Kawhi Leonard with a little bit of a wandering eye, and Miami would certainly be a destination that might be attractive to him. So you open up max cap space, sign Kawhi Leonard, then you're looking really, really good for the next couple of seasons. So this offseason is going to be a big swing for them. I think we're going to see them decline those two options on Dragic and Iguodala, considering both of those guys are veterans that are a little bit past their prime. Dragic had a really good bubble run, but he wasn't super great this year, and Iguodala has definitely declined over the past couple of seasons. And that's a big number for him anyway. So I think we'll see them decline both of those options, and we'll see what they do with that cap space. Maybe it's Kyle Lowry, like I said, maybe it's DeMar DeRozan, who knows, right? But they are going to have a ton of cap space and stuff to work with this summer. So while they don't have too many draft picks or anything like that, having that cap space is certainly a nice asset. And I'll probably go more in depth on all of that stuff, in a month or so when I go through and do all of my season previews for every single team and sort of like off-season preview recap sort of thing. So we'll go more into depth on the Heat's free agency class and their draft and all that stuff. But they do have, they've set themselves up to have a very interesting summer, and we'll see what they do with this team, because I think that they could, be out there. They could be players on the trade market. We saw them be hesitant to include guys like Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn, Prestice Achiuwa, Duncan Robinson, all those dudes in these trades. We saw them in rumors for James Harden. Now, who knows if they were ever really in on that deal. There was rumored that they didn't want to put Tyler Hero in a package for him, and we'll never really know if that was actually an option available to them or not. But they could definitely be wheelers and dealers this summer and potentially shake things up here. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they come back from 3-0 in this series and all this doesn't even matter. But I think it's safe to say that they're probably done. I think they might win Game 4. I'm still probably going to pick them to win that just because I feel like they won't get swept. But it might be quick work after that. We'll have to see how this goes. But yeah, I think that's about all I have on the Miami Heat and their big hole against the Milwaukee Bucks. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring the bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about the Heat. Are you surprised that they're down? Because I certainly am, and would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. But with all that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.